Hi guys, happy Tuesday. On this shared reading, I'm going to read to you Martin Luther King and then the questions, part one and part two. This is your Tuesday shared reading. Okay? So the first one, I just have it. I didn't print it out this time, but it's on my computer. Nonfiction text features of Martin Luther King Jr. You did text features last week. Same thing with this. Okay? Text features help a reader navigate a text by offering more information about it. Examples of text features, and picture this in the back of our room. We have illustrations, photographs, captions, maps, charts, graphs, headings, table of contents are just a few examples of text features. Directions. Read the passage below, then answer the questions on the following page. Martin Luther King Jr., I'm reading the first heading, is famous for his role in the civil rights movement. He believed that everyone should be equal. He worked hard for the group of people, He worked hard for that. He fought against discrimination. Discrimination is when a person or group of people are treated differently. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. He grew up in a time when things were not fair for everyone. The law said that African Americans did not have the same rights as white people. There were separate schools for African American kids and white kids. They could not go to the same schools. Restaurants also had rules that separated African American people and white people. Beliefs and actions. King believed that African Americans should have the same rights as white people. He believed that people should be treated equally no matter what color skin they have. He believed in protest and resistance. He did not believe that violence was the answer. He knew that it was important to stay peaceful so people would listen. Martin Luther King Jr. boycotted. He refused to buy products or services from places that did not treat him fairly. He marched. His marches made people think about discrimination. March on Washington. In 1963, there was a civil rights march on Washington, D.C. called the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. King became very well known after this event. King made a famous speech at this march. It is called the I Have a Dream speech. King made a famous speech at this march. Around 250,000 people marched and heard his speech. They're great. We are familiar with this. We've seen it and we've discussed it. In the speech, he spoke about racism. He wanted it to end. Racism is the poor treatment and violence against people because of their race. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about things being better for African American people. Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. That same year, the Civil Rights Act was passed. It banned many types of discrimination. Martin Luther King Jr. worked hard to bring about change in the United States. Today, people still work for the equality he spoke about. Now I'm going to read the sidebars. Okay? It says Martin Luther King Jr. Quick facts. MLK is a nickname given to Martin Luther King Jr. King graduated from high school at the age of 15. King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955. We're familiar with that. His house was bombed in 1956 by people who disagreed with the civil rights work. In 1963, King was arrested for protesting in Alabama, and King was assassinated in Memphis in 1968. And then here's a map. It says March on Washington. It shows March on Washington in nation's capital, Washington, D.C. That's what that second page. Okay? Or I'm sorry, the second graphic. Okay? Nonfiction text features. Okay, so we're going to answer questions using the article and the nonfiction features. Okay? Last week, remember, you went looking around in your books for that. You're doing part one and part two today, which is the whole selection. Part one, what information does the sidebar show? Go back to that sidebar. What information does that show? Then it says, number two, write a caption to accompany this image. Okay, here is an image of Martin Luther King. So your own caption, okay, if you said birds flying, that doesn't work, okay? So any right caption that would be about Martin Luther King, what's going on, okay? Number three, what do all the headings tell the reader? If you were to go back, okay, headings, what do they tell the reader, okay? Part two is the timeline, third grade. So it says 1929, Martin Luther King Jr. was born, and then it gives you the date, 1944, so you're going to go back and find out what happened in 1944. Then it says blank, it says led the Montgomery bus boycott, so you're going to put the year. It says 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize, so you're not going to put anything there. Down here it says gave his I Have a Dream speech. When was that? And lastly, in 1968, something happened. That's your Tuesday. Have a good day. Bye.